known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
All right, guys, welcome in. Time for another edition, the Friday edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com, as we continue to get a little bit closer to eventually an NBA Finals, and then we'll crown a champion. But first, we got to get through Game 2 tonight. Atlanta taking on the Bucks, and we do have a Game 4 tomorrow, that being Phoenix taking on the LA I only win at home Clippers. So to break these games down for us, who better than the three amigos here on a Friday? Some new faces, and hell, we brought the whole crew here for you today. We are talking about Tony Mejia in the house, Steve Merrill, Tony Finn, Kevin Dolan here for you guys on this Friday. And gentlemen, welcome in as we try to make heads or tails of what we've seen thus far throughout the playoffs. And Tony Mejia, let me come to you first, my friend. Great game last night if you're a Clippers backer. They do what they have always done. They got back into the series there with a win at the Staples Center. They do have a game tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But overall, what do you got? It's a loaded weekend. What do you got over at WagerTalk.com tonight heading into this Friday evening?
Well, I had a 5-1 baseball day yesterday, which was the bright spot, because I did not move to 11-1 on my 5% NBA playoff plays because I was on the Suns, so that stunk. And I had a prop where I liked DeAndre Ayton double in a Suns win, which would have paid 2-1. I did hit my player prop, so I mean overall it was a profitable night. And then hopefully that continues tonight. We've got more NBA stuff, and the MLB card is out there. So and obviously this weekend we got Copa America and the Euros, so a loaded stuff, and we've been on a hot streak most of the last month, so we're liking what we're seeing. But yeah, we'll talk more about the Phoenix Suns and LA Clippers game a little later, but it was not an easy watch for me.
Yeah, well, it's still getting interesting. It is the playoffs after all. Far from over, both of these series, Steve Merrill, but we're going to have a very interesting Game 2 tonight. But talk to us. How'd you do last night? What do you got tonight here at Wager Talk?
Yeah, first of all, Joe, you said the three amigos. I just want to make it clear. Tony Mejia and Tony Finn are two separate individuals. They're very special people on their own. So we actually have four of us here tonight. But no, I remain red hot, and 12-2 the last 7 days in all sports. Sixth sweep out of the last 7 days last night. And had the Clippers. You know, hey, they're down 0-2 in every series they come back to win, right? Had to use the Clippers in Game 3. We'll see if they continue that monster run they've done the last couple rounds when trailing. We'll talk about that in a little bit, like Tony Mejia said. But I've got a 2-for-1 special tonight. But more importantly, I've got a promo code PASS69. PASS69 gets you a full 7 days for just $69. Normally 3 days is $69. You're getting a full 7 days. It's normally $119. So PASS69 gets you the next 7 days, basketball and baseball. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. $69 for a 7-day package with PASS69.
All right, can't go wrong with that. And Kevin Dolan, my friend, part of the Friday crew. And talk to us, man. You've had a busy week. I know you got boxing this weekend. I know, of course, we've got the Euros going on and, of course, NBA. So talk to us. What do you got going on heading into this weekend?
Yeah, it's an absolutely stacked weekend, Joe. We got F1 Austrian Grand Prix up. As you said about the boxing, we got a 4-pack up there. And we got a big 5% play on the docket tonight over in the NBA as well. And, as Tony Mejia said, the Euros are in full swing now. It's the knockout stage starting tomorrow. So we got a 5% play up on that as well. And, it's actually funny now to be a lot more relaxed this Friday than usual. We had England versus Scotland last Friday, Italy versus Turkey the Friday before. I was kind of, keeping an eye on the clock to get off the show. So it'll be nice with no soccer on tonight, to fully concentrate on the NBA.
Yeah, no, it is maybe a little, well, let's face it, it's just going to be crazy for the next couple of weeks, regardless, until we get a champion here in both Stanley Cup, the NHL, and the NBA. And Tony Finn, not to mention we got MLB, a full card tonight heading into this weekend. You were on the show yesterday, Finn. Talk to us last night. Clippers got it done. I do believe you were leading that way just a tad there yesterday on the show. But what do you got for everyone today heading into the weekend?
Today I have I'm on the diamond with a 5% play. I have a total of 4 plays. I have a total play, a over-under in the NBA on tonight's game 2, right?
Yep.
And I have 3 Major League Baseball 5%er and 2 best bets to go along with it. You get all 4 of those plays for $49 only at WagerTalk.
Boom. There you go, guys. All right, plenty of ways to make it a profitable weekend, certainly a Friday night, which is why we're going to dive in, see if we can't find something else in this Atlanta Hawks-Milwaukee Bucks game worth betting on, as the Bucks open up 7.5-point favorites in the game 2, pretty much right around that number in game 1, in which they lost outright. The total 226.5. So, Mejia, let me come back to you, my friend. Thoughts on the line here? Not a whole lot of movement from game 1. What do you think we're going to see, if anything, different here tonight?
Well, if you're the Bucks, you better see tighter coverage on Trae Young, and that's on Mike Budenholzer to make those adjustments. I think that it really centers around playing Brook Lopez less, especially if he can't be effective on the boards. Going with Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton more, and playing Giannis at the 5. You're hoping to get more out of Chris Middleton than you did in game 1. If you're the Hawks, you're hoping not to need 48 points from Trae Young. You're hoping that the other guys can step up. Although Capella did have a very strong game in that series opener, but I mean, they're playing with house money here, so it'll be interesting to see how they come out, how the pressure affects a Milwaukee Bucks squad that really was very fortunate that Brooklyn had all those injuries in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So it's going to be a riveting Friday night in the NBA for sure.
Yeah, certainly going to be. And yeah, Steve, he's right. I mean, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks backer, you better hope you see a lot different here. Especially somebody want to keep Clint Capella off the boards, as he had almost 20 boards in that game over there against a Milwaukee team that's usually owned the rebounding category. What do you think we're going to see here tonight?
Yeah, I touched on this a little bit yesterday when we did a summary of the first game, but keep in mind, Atlanta was just 14-20 on March 1st when they made the coaching change for an interim basis. Nate McMillan, who is still technically the interim head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, they were 14-20 on March 1st. They have gone 36-15 their last 51 games. That, along with the Phoenix Suns, are the best 2 records in the league the last couple months. So this isn't a true 5 seed. We have to keep that in mind. And obviously, Atlanta's playing a lot better than the overall 50-35 record would indicate. Now, they have been a weaker team on the road this year, 22-22. That win on game 1 got them to 500 on the road for the first time in a while this season, as opposed to 32-13 at home. So it really would be something to see them win back-to-back games here. Of course, they don't necessarily have to win this game. They just have to cover. The line is anywhere from 7.5 to 8. Something we don't talk a lot about in the playoffs is, the contrarian sides of these games, because there's only 1 or 2 games and they're not usually too much of a split. But the public was pretty heavy on Atlanta in game 1, and I actually agreed with them. I had a best bet on Atlanta in game 1. The public's not always wrong. We talk about that on the public videos I do. But one thing the public has is a very short memory. And, man, when they win with an outright underdog winner and they were on them, they're coming back in game 2. So it's even more public now, and I'm seeing a pretty heavy consensus on Atlanta, yet some books have gone from 7.5 to 8. So I think you can make an argument there's a little bit of a sharp square divide in this game. We'll see how that plays out. And both teams, of course, were coming off game 7s. Quick turnaround for the most part for both teams in game 1. So I think tonight will be a more true indication of how this series is going to go. We can dig into the results tonight a little bit more to handicap the future games.
All right, good stuff there. And talk to us, Kevin, your thoughts from what we saw from game 1 to I don't know, from a total perspective, are we going to see a whole lot of points here again, or do you think maybe a little more defense tonight?
I don't think so, Joe. It's definitely an interesting game. I'm in fully agreement with the line move here, though, concerning the total. I do expect the under the cash here. I know the Bucks' production from the bench wasn't great on Wednesday. They were absolutely woeful as well from 3-point range in that game as well. I think they made just 8 of 36 from downtown, but even while you would expect those offensive numbers to improve for Milwaukee tonight, I think they're going to have to focus, as Tony Mejia said, in limiting Trae Young here, as that has to be paramount for them if they're going to get anything out of this series. It's definitely something I think they can do, though. They're definitely capable of it. After that overtime scare against Miami in game 1 of the first round, they came out in games 2 and 3, limited Miami to an average of just 91 points over those 2 games. And against an extremely high-octane Brooklyn Nets team, despite all their injuries, obviously, Milwaukee were down 2-0 in the hole. Things looked bad. And then they come out in game 3 and shut the Nets down for 83 points. So I think we have to see that same kind of, defensive intensity here, that same kind of focus for them tonight. And I definitely lean under the total in this one.
All right, going under the total there. And all right, Tony Finn, talk to us here, my friend. What are we going to see differently, if anything, tonight from this Milwaukee Bucks team? And do they have enough adjustments in the bag, Budenholzer, to get the job done with his guys tonight?
Those are the million-dollar questions, or the point spread questions, aren't they? The total that I was under, game 1, and I knew I was finished in the last minute of the first half when it seemed that both teams could score at will, and there was no defense whatsoever. Now, that wasn't the case for the whole game. I even considered this at game's end that this was a complete failure by Coach Bud as far as what their defensive scheme was in that game 1. It was basically drop, tuck, and roll. Steve Merrill familiar with that sentence, but they just dropped. Their perimeter defense. They have to be better. They have to guard this perimeter better. Trae Young will eat them alive if they continue to just do a drop cover defense. He put up 48 points. Now, was it a complete failure? Because Gallinari, Lou Williams combined for just 17 points. Now, Bogdanovich is ailing. I don't think they have to respect his shot. So I expect a lot of different things from Milwaukee tonight. One of them is a little more aggressive covering and defending the perimeter. I'm going to stay off the total, but I do like the side here. And the short money here, as Steve said, is at least I think Steve said, is on Milwaukee. I mean, I see an 8.5 now, 2 8.5s at Bookmaker and Penny.
Yeah, that just moved, Joe. That line instantly just moved like 2 minutes ago as we were talking. It's flashing up on the WagerTalk's free odds screen. So someone's watching NBA tip-off, I guess, and they want to fade the public.
You're damn straight. Yep, absolutely correct. So the lines are moving here, guys, as we get ready for this game 2 here. Kind of we'll see if Milwaukee can get the momentum back, or what Atlanta is going to do. What can they follow that up with? We do also want to talk, of course, in Game 4 regarding the Clippers and the Phoenix Suns. We'll do that in a second, but I do want to remind you, you heard these guys locked and loaded here tonight. WagerTalk.com is where you can go. Get Tony Mejia ready to go here this weekend. Steve Merrill, you've got, of course, Tony Finn in the house. He's locked and loaded, ready to go. And Kevin Dolan got so much going on this weekend, boxing and soccer, and, of course, the NBA. So there's a lot of ways to make it a profitable Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it starts with, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages work the best, guys, because you never got to worry about missing a play from any of these gentlemen. Let's take a look, guys, at that game number 4 tomorrow, if we can, between the L.A. Clippers taking on the Phoenix Suns. Opened up Clippers +1. I'm seeing Suns -1 still in a whole lot of places. We're looking at the total at 220. I've seen that come down. 218s is what it is showing us here. And it just seems like after what we saw last night, wow, first one to 100 might actually win this. And let me come to you, Merrill. Great defensive effort by the Clippers per usual. Chris Paul made his return. We talked about on the show yesterday that didn't trust these 17.5 points that were labeled upon him as a prop bet there last night, but certainly didn't see him and Devin Booker getting just 15 points apiece. Something's got to give. What gives in this game tomorrow, if anything, to you?
Yeah, the prop lines are pretty sharp. In fact, I was initially, for my free play on the show yesterday, was thinking Paul George over because you knew they're going to have a big bounce back game. But then I look and it's 30.5 points. And only 2 times in the previous 16 playoff games has he had more than 31. He's had 31 a couple times, but he's only had more than that twice all postseason. And he landed, 27, I believe, last night. So luckily I stayed away from that one. And I went Chris Paul under 17.5, and that squeaked in with 15. By the way, he had 14 assists and rebounds. And one thing I said is that I could see him getting a lot of assists, but not as many points. And he had 12 assists. So he was feeding the ball down low. Once again, the big man, Anton, they used him more. He had 18 points and only 9 rebounds. But it was an off game for Phoenix. We'll see if they can turn it back on for game 4. I know the Clippers have been here, done that, but they're still without Kawhi Leonard, one of the best playoff performers ever. So this isn't exactly the same Clippers squad that was able to do that in previous series when down 0-2. Leonard went out after they won game 3 in the last round. He was out for the 5th game, I believe, is when he went out, or 4th game. So we'll see if they can turn it on or not. But, the future odds real quick, Joe, we talked about this going into game 6 against Dallas. The Clippers opened to win the whole thing before the playoffs. They were 6-1. When they were down 3-2 against Dallas, they were 14-1. They went in to make it 3-3. They instantly go back to 6-1 after just one playoff win. Well, guess what? Once again, history's repeating itself. Going into the game last night down 0-2, they were 14-1 to win the title. They're now 6.5-1 at FanDuel. So once again, one game has cut their odds in half in the middle of a series, which they're still trailing. It's just insane. And if you moneyline parlays these adjusted series prices, you've had a nice little ticket going right now. We'll see if they can get it done again on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Finn, what a difference a day makes, huh? Wow, just one win, one loss, and the whole futures market gets turned upside down on its head. So talk to me about this game, though. Game number 2 at the Staples Center. It just seems rinse and repeat. Lose 2 on the road, win 2 at the Staples Center. If it ain't broke, don't fix it with the Clippers, no?
Well, who could argue with that, right? The Suns had easily their least efficient game, I would say, of the entire playoffs. But a big part of that was, I think, it's Tyronn Lue. He seems to be, he seems to have taken a team that sleepwalks the first 2 games, and maybe it's Lue. Maybe he's not making adjustments quick enough. I would have said, I did say it. They were down 2-0. This is a different animal than you have with Utah, and they're big. Ayton's much more athletic, much more capable of putting 20-plus points on the board and doing it away from the rim. That last game was Booker maybe not used to a mask. He says it didn't bother him. I have a hard time believing that, Joe. And then there's, of course, Chris Paul. Was he rusty? That's a long time off for a 106-year-old to just jump back on the court and be who he was. What was it, 37 points or what it was in the final game, the game 6 at Denver, right? So I think we're going to see a lot of things differently. Phoenix averaged 105.4 points per 100 possession in the last 2 games. Devin Booker wasn't very good again. He's got to be better than 15 points for this team to compete at Staples. There's some things to look at. Before tomorrow, but right now I'm still leaning towards playing the healthier team, and that's Phoenix.
Going to Phoenix here in this one. And Kevin Dolan, what do you think, man? I don't think Kawhi Leonard is walking through that door anytime soon. If it is, it's probably the owner's suite door because, let's face it, Kawhi is done here. Stick a fork in him. You just got to kind of look at this game, too, and just moving forward. He's probably not coming back. Just assume he's not. But that's good news for Reggie Jackson and others on this team here. Are we walking away 2-2 back to Phoenix in game 5 here when the weekend is said and done?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to spoil my opinion on the side. I'll leave that one for my best bet. But, again, in terms of the total, I just about lean over here. I've seen this total actually trickle down since opening. It's now sitting around 218.5, I think, the last time I checked. But, this Suns team, 25-12-1 to the over the last 38, 11-4 to the over in the last 15 road games as well. And they just come off being held to the lowest points total on the road over the entire course of the postseason. So, I obviously would expect them to put it together a lot better offensively than they managed in game 3. Phoenix's 3-point shooting percentage was down 6.5% from their season average in that game. It's actually down 5.5% over the series as a whole. So, if I'm playing this one from a totals perspective, I'm definitely going to look towards the over here tomorrow.
All right, looking towards the over. And Tony Mejia, I got to tell you, I know a lot of Phoenix backers were like, oh, Chris Paul's back. It's going to be great. Well, it wasn't great. I'll tell you who was great was Zubac. I think he was, plus 28 net when he was on that floor there. Did an amazing job inside the paint. Are we going to see more of that? Because Ty Lue doing an amazing job of adjusting on the fly here this playoff season.
I mean, well, if they let Ivica Zubac keep setting moving screens without calling any offensive fouls, he stays out of foul trouble, because that's entirely what happened in that first half yesterday. Not to mention that Terrence Mann gave them such a boost in that starting lineup, because I think that's one adjustment Ty Lue made is he said, oh, Marcus Morris Sr., you're better off coming off the bench, and he actually played a much better game. He's clearly dealing with a knee issue. So I agree that the Clippers are the more injured team at the moment. But, that Cameron Payne ankle injury was a deal breaker for my play, because Etuan Moore just doesn't give them the same boost. We saw Payne immediately come in, score a bucket. He looked like he had it going. You saw the frustration on the bench when it clearly looked like he wasn't going to return. He got his ankle taped, and now we get to determine what the severity of that injury is, because if he's out a couple of games, that's really going to hurt Phoenix. I mean, he went for 29 and 9 in game 2 and helping offset Chris Paul's issues. And I think the mask thing bothered Booker, so we'll see whether he can come back and be Devin Booker. I mean, Booker and Paul went 8 for 40 in that game. You can't expect that. Yeah. But if they're outplayed by Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverley, we're going to get a 2-2 series, and there's tremendous value on the Clippers plus 325. Even though I agree with everybody that Kawhi Leonard's done. But right now you're crazy if you're laying 435 that Phoenix is going to win the series. But they could go up 3-1 if Payne comes back, if those guys shoot the ball better, if we get less from Luke Kennard, and from my standpoint, I think the under might be the play, because it looks like the Suns have really dialed it back some in terms of getting out there in transition the way they were able to at home, and that's a credit to Patrick Beverley really getting out there and disrupting their defense from the moment that they inbound the ball. So it's one of those games where a lot of variables are still up in the air, and I'll make a lot of decisions tomorrow morning.
So it's going to be interesting, Steve. Is there a correlation here between any of these series, maybe championship bets, and what we're going to see here over the next, even tonight's game at Atlanta, Milwaukee, tomorrow being Phoenix and the Clippers? If you like the Clippers to tie it up, if you haven't taken them, on the future, do you hop on that 3-1 now? Is there any correlating here going on?
Yeah, what's interesting, though, about the future moves, like you said, as I said, the Clippers were cut in half, basically, 14 to 6, 6.5. The Phoenix Suns at a 50% increase. They were even money. Now they're plus 140, yet the game was basically a pick-em last night. Yeah. So a lot of people expected the Clippers winning. Here again, game 4 is basically a pick-em. The series price has been cut in half already. It was like 900. Now it's down to minus 420 Phoenix. If you like the Clippers in game 4 tomorrow, you would have to probably take a little sprinkle on that adjusted series price, especially, as you said, Joe, with their history. And we joke about it, hey, they're down 0-2, we have them where they want to be. But, this is a team that's repeatedly blown big leads, and over last season they blew the 3-1 lead, and now they've overcome 0-2 deficits in 2 straight series, maybe 3 straight here. So I think it makes a lot of sense. The Milwaukee-Atlanta series price, by the way, is interesting. They were, like a 6-1 favorite? Now they're only a 2-1 favorite. The Bucks down 0-1. It's minus 210, take back plus 175. So there again, if you think, Atlanta's live, I'm not sure there's a lot of value left at this point. You should have got him before game 1, obviously. Plus, I could see a situation, you take Atlanta, they don't win the game, they still cover the 8. So that's a different situation. But the Clippers and Phoenix situation is a pick 'em. So I would have to think whichever side you like correlates to the adjusted series price as well.
Yep, absolutely. We're taking a look here, guys, as you've got game 1 or game 2 tonight between Atlanta and Milwaukee, and then, of course, game 4 tomorrow as we get a little bit closer to crowning a NBA Finals champion. We'll see what happens. Game 4, Phoenix and Clippers, Saturday night. So let's do it here, guys. There's a lot of different ways to approach these games, certainly from a best bet standpoint, whether it be a prop, a side, a total, first half, wherever it is here. Tony Mejia, we'll start with you, my friend. Talk to us here. What's one way you're looking at it coming out these games here this weekend?
Well, without a minute on the clock, I'm still going to talk first before I go into this about a couple of things that I've noticed today. Giannis Antetokounmpo is minus 180 to outscore Trae Young after Trae Young went for 48. I thought that was interesting. And he's clearly been bet up because he opened 145 today. These odds are DraftKings. And Young is at plus 140. And so I think FanDuel took the matchup off the board.
Yep.
So that's one thing that's very interesting to me. I looked everywhere, BetMGM, other books, and obviously FanDuel and DraftKings for any Bobby Portis prop. No Bobby Portis props to be found anywhere, which is ridiculous because he's a rotation player. And they have numbers for even Pat Connaughton, and everybody on that's playing on the other side for Atlanta. So that conspicuous by his absence to me, because I expect him to play, which leads me to my best bet for the show. I think Bobby Portis is going to be in for major minutes tonight as the small ball 5 alongside PJ Tucker and Giannis. I do have a minute on the clock.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell show you've been a part of here, dude, but you got a minute on the clock.
I did not see the clock.
Well, listen,
anyway,
it could have been worse. Go ahead and finish it. Go ahead, go.
Let me get Clint Capella to outscore Brook Lopez because I don't think he's going to play much. And the odds aren't that bad. It's at DraftKings minus 120.
Thank you very much, Robert. Do you have 60 seconds on the bear shit? All right, let's go, Merrill. You're up, my man. Talk to us here. 60 seconds on the clock, Steve, per usual. Where are you going to go here this weekend? Give us a best bet.
Yeah, just like that Tony Mejia thought he had more time than usual with more people in the show giving out best bets. That's kind of counterintuitive. I like the logic there. Hey, some great information, all kidding aside. And by the way, Trae Young over-under is 30.5, and Giannis is 33.5 for total points. Quickly, though, I want to remind everybody I do have a 7-day pass for $69. Pass 69, PASS 69. Pass 69 gets you 7 days for just $69. That's normally the price for 3 days. You're getting 4 more days for free. Pass 69, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. On a mere 12-2 all sports run the past 7 days. I'm going to look at a scoring prop as well. You know, I think Trae Young, win or lose, could have a huge game, and he's coming off a 48-point game. I always like to look for the reversal. I'm not going to take that, staying away from him. But a guy I think that will reverse is John Collins. He had a big game 1. I think they'll look to shut him down. And he's 16.5, under 16.5 points for Collins. He's only done that 4 other times in the first 12 playoff games, and he's gone way under each of the 4 games following. I think it makes it 5 straight here. John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks, under 16.5 points.
Boom! All right, I'll give it to you. Should we review it and take 40 minutes?
Late.
Like
it doesn't count.
It was definitely late.
Was it late? Let's go review it. We'll be back tomorrow.
I'll blame the internet lag, but it was late.
Unbelievable.
I self-referee, man. I self-police. I'm an honest guy.
Listen, the fact that you're right. We got you going past the clock, me here thinking there is no clock. So, Kevin Dolan, I'm going to throw it at you. 60 seconds here, man. Just wherever you want to go. You said you got a best bet. What is it here for us?
Yeah, well, same as Steve. Just to quickly mention, great deal up right now in our 7-day all-access pass. Use Irish 40. That's Irish 40. Gets it $40 off, only $79. So we got 2 huge 5% plays loaded up already for this weekend. We've got another one circled up for Tuesday as well, so it's a great time to jump on board. That code expires at midnight tonight Pacific time as well. In terms of a best bet, I'm going to keep it vanilla here. I like the Clippers on the money line tomorrow. You know, I don't know why we talked about this. They keep doing it to themselves. 2-0 down against Dallas, 2-0 down against Utah, 2-0 down against Phoenix. But they continue to grind their way back in the series, and I fully expect them to do the same thing again here tomorrow night. You know, even without Kawhi Leonard, as we saw at the end of the Utah series, their net rating is actually plus 7.6 higher with him off the court. So I know they're probably overperforming, but I think they can keep it up. And I don't think there's any issue as to, you know, can the Clippers even this series? I fully expect them to. So, yeah, Clippers for me tomorrow night on the money line. That's the way I'd look for a best bet.
Boom! There you go. You can hit it, Robert. There you go. That's all right. Thank you very much for Kevin for actually remembering, you know, how long it actually takes to get the best bet out. Now all bets are off. Tony Finn, my friend, talk to us here. You've been, listen, you've kind of been all over both of these series thus far. So how would you approach either of these 2 games for a best bet here heading into the weekend?
Well, I would say that if you need evidence that the regular season doesn't translate into postseason NBA basketball, the net rating that was just discussed, for instance, with Kawhi alone on the floor, the net rating of this Clippers team is about the same with he and George. With just George and no Kawhi, they were an average team in the regular season, had a 0.3 rating. So again, I still have to go with Phoenix. I can't think they would be that bad, and not as bad as they were in Game 3, first game at Staples. In my best bet, real quickly, I know I'm running out of time. Bogbog's not right. He is not right. He has not scored in double figures for I think 4 or 5 straight playoff games after being in double figures for 4 straight. Gallinari, Bogbog, Lou Williams combined for 17 points, 6 for 20 from the floor. Is Trae Young is it sustainable? 74% of the points for Atlanta, and them still find a victory. I say no, but I still think that Gallinari, Williams, they all contribute tonight. I think Atlanta's a tough out, getting 8.5 points, and I like Bog under 10.5 points.
So it's only 10.5. No, that's only 10.5. No. I'm shocked by that number there. All right, guys, that means, of course, a lot of different ways to go at these games here tonight. 60 seconds aside. Let me do it in 60 seconds for you. Recapping it right now. Here we go, guys. Tony Mejia says Clint Capella to outscore Brook Lopez. Why? Because he can. -120 here tonight. Also, Steve Merrill saying, give me John Collins under 16.5 points in the game. Kevin Dolan says, Clippers tying this series up here, 2 games apiece, -110 on the money line. And Tony Fizz says, Bogbog not good, under 10.5 points, -106. Does believe Atlanta is a tough out, though, here at 8.5 points. So keep an eye on that. And bottom line is, it's not that tough to head over to WagerTalk.com and visit Tony Mejia. You got Stevie in the middle, Merrill. You got Kevin Dolan. Irish 40, was it, Kevin, I believe? The old Irish 40, guys.
Irish 40.
Irish 40. Use that coupon code, will you, guys? No reason not to make it a great, and I mean great and profitable weekend. Then, of course, Tony Finn as well, locked and loaded, MLB, NBA, all weekend long opportunities galore for you guys. So make sure you head over to WagerTalk.com. We'll be back, of course, on Monday to recap all of the NBA action over the weekend and, of course, take a preview here as we get a little bit closer to the finals matchup here. A lot can happen between now and Monday. In the meantime, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, and then make sure you come back and join us here on Wager Talk TV in YouTube. Come back. So with Tony Mejia, Steve Merrill, Tony Finn, and Kevin Dolan, Irish 40. You guys, best of luck with your plays here this weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. We'll see you.
Over the past 365 days, if all you did was bet Kevin Dolan's boxing selections, you would be up plus 40% in profit. If you purchased Kevin's weekly boxing card, it would cost you $1,300 over the course of a calendar year. But for a limited time, we've slashed all that down to $199, saving you over $1,100.